it's August, and obviously we know that everyone's super duper busy with kids and school holidays, and my child is not that age yet, so I can't claim to be one of those people. But just appreciating that, we wanted to make this month all about like well-being and just grounding ourselves, although we're a business group, ground ourselves in that well-being side of things. So we thought self-love as a topic would be an amazing thing to talk about, and Lorna is here as an empowerment coach to focus on self-love and talk to us about self-love. So before we dive in, because I know Lorna's got an awesome hour or so planned with us, we've got till 9:30, but if we finish early, that's obviously fine. If people need to shoot off at any point, that's fine too. Just to also mention that our next in-person event has just been launched. So that's on the 13th of September, Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. And we're basically doing a very similar format to what we did in March, which was our in-person event at Patch. Same location, brand photography if you want it, but if you don't, it's co-working and brunch. And it was such a good event. I really enjoyed it last time, and I hope the people that went did enjoy it and fancy coming along again. So the tickets are on sale. There's a link going in the Facebook group tomorrow morning. It's all scheduled, and yeah, we hopefully will see some of you there. Is there anything else to announce before you jump in, Linda?
We've got, I guess maybe talk really briefly about next month. So we've got Charlie Day coming in next month. Some of you might know Charlie Day. She's quite big in the Essex area, and she's talking about oh my goodness, what do you call it? My brain has just died completely. Passive income. Passive. I was like, there's a word for this.
That thing that we want to create.
Yeah. So basically making money with like minimal effort, which, let's face it, sounds really helpful because a lot of us are service based, whereby we make, we kind of limit ourselves on income because there's only so much of us to go around. So I think that would be a really useful topic anyway.
And also for product-based businesses, because there's ways, I'm just thinking of you, Lena, like if you wanted to do a course on sewing that you could have on your website that people can purchase, like long-term passive income. So yeah, I definitely think there's relevance for service and product-based businesses.
Oh, massively. Yeah.
I've heard lots about this Charlie Day, and I've never met her, and I'm very excited that we've got another great speaker next month.
Yeah. So let's go to our great speaker of this month.
Yes.
Hi, Lorna.
That was interesting. I'm like, tell me more.
You come.
You're welcome to come.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm thinking your in-person event. I might try and come. I think I'm going to be down that way, that end of the country.
Definitely.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And if you want to have the brand photo shoot as well,
that could be
it was very cool last time.
It's really funny because I was having a conversation with one of my mentors, and she's really into branding, and I always had this like narrative, like someone like me doesn't have a brand photo shoot, and then I'm like, why not? So it's like the story.
Well, that's why we did it, because it's mini brand photo shoots. So the tickets for the event are £30, but for brand photography it's 150. So you then get your photos and bits and pieces on side, and the idea is that we can have small business people there all receiving the benefit of the brand photography in one place at one time with one photographer. So it was really cool.
We've got a different photographer this time to sort of mix it up a little bit, and she is so good. Like, she's such a good photographer. So I'm really tempted to have mine done again, just so I've got a different photographer doing them in a different way. I have a different hairstyle maybe, and some different season of clothes.
Get a fringe cut.
I had a fringe for like 15 years. I'm like, my rule is do not cut a fringe again, because otherwise you're stuck with it for years, and I've just got rid. Anyway, off on a tangent. Lorna, tell us about you.
Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lorna. I think I've already been introduced. I'm a mindset and empowerment coach, podcast host. I'm going through a bit of a transition at the minute. My new tagline is I like to help rebellious women break free of the rules that we set ourselves in society and become unapologetic so we can live a life we love. And when I talk about rebellious, I don't mean in the terms of like someone that wants to, I talk about in the terms of breaking the rules of like society set us on, like the way that we've been. I guess I focus mainly on women, not that I predominantly work with women, and not that I would never work with men, but it's about just paving this path. And I think it's something I'm really passionate about, because I was never thought that I could have my own business. I always thought that I had to go down this path of working 9 to 5, and that you did, and that was the route. And then I found personal development and it opened a whole new world. I feel like I've unlocked a door. And one thing that has been apparent through my journey, which is why I love to talk about self-love, is creating this relationship with ourselves that is loving. Because just to give you a little bit of like a background of how I sort of got down this path, was I started on a weight loss journey when I graduated from university. Wait, how many years ago is that? Nearly 5 years ago now, when I graduated, and I looked at one of my pictures and I'd put on a lot of weight. And for me, probably like a lot of us in here, and I'm just generalizing because I think it's a general consensus, is especially as women, our weight is like a big focal point, the way we look, the way that society makes us feel. And for me, growing up as a child, I was always the bigger one. So my weight's always been like, was like the focal point. And when I went on this weight loss journey, I was under this, like, I had this story, if I lost weight, I'll be happy. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And I lost 4.5 stone and then realised I wasn't happy. So that burst my bubble. And I was sat there like, I'd moved to London, I was in a relationship, but I still felt like I was so unhappy, I was lost. And I just knew there must be something more, like, surely there's just more to life. And that's kind of how it started, like, and I started an online company at the start of the first pandemic, and I was shown the world of personal development in a mindset sense, because I think there's a bit of a misconception in just personal development as a whole, is sometimes we think personal development is just mindset, but personal development is actually physical, mental and spiritual development, and they all work together. And I think that's one thing I never realised. I always used to think I didn't start my development journey until I worked on my mindset, but it actually started when I was losing weight. But the thing that was pivotal in all this is working on that relationship with myself, and that's how it all stemmed, of like putting that relationship first, which I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know how it feels when we put everything else. I was a massive people pleaser, do everything to make other people happy and disregard my own well-being. And I think that's why I'm really passionate about helping people put themselves first, which is why it's like very like passion of mine. So that's kind of just a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm a podcast host as well. I have a podcast called Making Mindset Matter. I just talk about,
which is great, by the way,
an array of topics. I'm a very open book. I don't hold anything back. So, I love to talk. I don't know if you've gathered already. But I thought just before we dived in, obviously I've planned a session, but we might go a bit off what we've planned, and we'll see. We'll see what we're feeling intuitive or guided to. But just before we dive in, I would actually just like love for you all to introduce yourself and just tell me a little bit about you, what you do, and I want to know like just a little bit of like generally your name, obviously, what you do, and one thing that makes you unique. Putting you on the spot. I'll let you go in any order. So.
I think Jen should go first.
Oh my goodness, these sort of questions used to make me dread when I was in corporate, those icebreaker questions, but they're very good. I think they're a very good idea. So I'm Jen. I am a strategy coach, a business strategy coach. What makes me unique? Oh my goodness. I think I'm just going to go random with what comes to me, is that I'm not even sure how to put it, because I don't know if it's unique enough. Oh my God, I really don't know what to say.
There's not a scale of uniqueness. This is funny when you throw questions like this. There's not a scale of uniqueness. It's anything that you think. It's all about perception. So.
Yeah, that's true. The thing that came up for me was that I've always wanted to believe in true love, but I never thought I'd find the right person, and I did when I was like 33. So for me, I guess what makes me unique is that I got to have that little fairy tale, and I didn't think it was going to be possible. So that's my thing.
I love that.
So random.
Who would like to go next? I'm just looking at you all. I don't know where you are on each of the screens, so it's.
And my mic's off, so I'll just go next. So I'm Linda. I'm a hypnobirthing teacher. I don't know what to say either. It's really hard, isn't it? Because we're all unique, aren't we? We're all different. Yeah. Weirdly, I was filling in a quiz this morning I'm doing a thing called Thrive. I'll talk about that another day. But and you have to fill in like a quiz to sort of work out your personality. And I emailed the woman back afterwards and said, like, I didn't really like your quiz. because I felt like it was really trying to pigeonhole me, like it was trying to find out what personality I was. And I was like, I'm not any of these, I'm a bit of everything. And I think that's what makes me unique. Like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm also incredibly like messy and a whirlwind. I like order, but I also like spontaneity. So I think what makes me unique is that I maybe don't fit into any particular box. Who's going next? Shall I pick people? Kerry.
I had my eyes on Lena. I was sort of burning into your screen, Lena. You didn't pick up on it. I'm Kerry. I'm a few things, I wear different hats. In this group, I'm known as a breastfeeding expert, or an IBCLC, a lactation consultant. And in my anyone who knows me since before I've had my children, I'm a classical musician, and do both now, weirdly. And sometimes they meet. So I'm now teaching a child I helped with breastfeeding, which is very strange.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it that long. Uniqueness. I don't know. I'm trying to think what other people would say. I think other people would pull out things like home ed. And the first thing that popped into my head was that I play snooker, which is not usual for women, really, I suppose, although it should be.
Agreed.
You know.
You want me to go next? So I'm Lena. By day, I am a solicitor and I work for the local university, Anglia Ruskin. And I'm part of the village because I run a small business called Raws and Rainbows, which is a handmade clothing business for adults and children. And I suppose what also makes me unique is everything that I make, I wear. So most of the clothes that I wear, I've made myself, and a lot of my kids' clothes as well. So I do stand out quite a lot in the crowd in Chelmsford because there's a certain look of parents, and I am mostly dressed in brightly coloured dungarees. So I certainly, still I'm not wearing them at the moment, but yeah.
I would love to see dungarees. I'm all for bright colours, so.
Well, if you find me on Instagram, you'll get an idea of the kind of thing I make.
Amy.
Hello, I'm Amy. I am a cognitive behavioural hypnotherapist. So fairly early on in sort of my business journey, what makes me unique? I think I loved what you said, Linda, actually. So I'm gonna like piggyback on that. But so my other job, or I guess the job that I've kind of got running alongside and have done for a long time is HR. And so I think if you know me in the kind of HR context, I'm pretty sensible, kind of level-headed. Yeah, so I think there's that one view of me, but there's definitely a me kind of outside of work. I love, or I used to love, going clubbing. I went to Ibiza like 8 times. I'm actually going to the Ibiza Orchestra in Chelmsford on Saturday night. And so I have this other side where I just, yeah, love letting my hair down. But I think it's funny, depending on who I'm with, we'll see, I guess, slightly different versions.
I love that. I just like putting people on the spot. I could have asked you the question. It's probably a bit of a personal, but I'm trying to put myself out there today, and I just hate like small talk on dating apps. So my opening line is always, "What animal would you be and why?" Because I just think I can gauge a response. So you got an easy question. Well, it's not easy, and I think this is what it comes to. Just like the reason I like to ask people questions that maybe you just don't get asked yourself about this uniqueness or what makes you you, is because it's not questions we ask ourselves. We look to deflect, and that's like a sign of like, it's the same with that compliment. So just to get you thinking of empowering questions to ask, and I think that's about switching. A lot of what I do with my clients is about helping them switch that narrative of how you speak to yourself. What questions do you ask? Is it an empowering state? And I loved all your answers, and I think that's what makes us, we are all unique. There's only one of us, and I think that's what we have to celebrate, is we have to celebrate our uniqueness, especially like for a lot of us, we work presume majority of us with the businesses, we work in the online space, and it's so easy to, I catch myself sometimes in comparison mode, and it's about coming back to self-love, because self-love is an action. It's about as a choice. It's about having like this choice, about appreciating yourself for what you are. And also, it's not just about appreciating the good things. To me, self-love is about loving all parts of us, like even the parts we might not deem as the ones that we love, the parts of us that we may be holding shame about. It's still, how do we show love? So I wanted to go through like some exercises with you today, but also open it up to, I like to hear from other people. I like you to have like a space, like I like to hold space. So we're going to go through an exercise, because like I said at the start, self-love is not just about simply just feeling good. It's a state of appreciation for yourself, and it grows from the actions that we do, that we support us physically, psychologically and spiritually, because like that's what it's about across personal development. And one thing that I have found myself doing a lot is I tell myself a lot, and I don't know if you can resonate, I should be doing this. I should be doing this, I should do that. And we get caught in this, I should. And a lot of the time this should comes from outside opinions, and actually it's learning to let go of the should. So I want to take you through an exercise that I find really powerful, which is just, we're going to go through, because it's time for us to stop shoulding ourselves. And the reason why I say this should is because should is actually like quite a shameful word. We hold a lot of shame through. It's like, I should be doing this. And when we're saying that, it's like we're holding on to a lot of shame, because it's like we're telling ourselves we're wrong, like, oh, I should be doing it. So we're going to go through an exercise, and I just want you to write at the top of your paper, I should, ... And we're going to work through this. And I'm just going to give you, maybe I should get some, let me see if I can get YouTube up to give you just a little bit of journaling music, so that you just have me sat in silence looking at you. Like, I just want you, when you're doing this, is I just want you to, anything that comes to mind. And one thing I always stress, not like try not to stress too much, but like when we're doing any reflection exercises, when you are doing any form of reflection, I always want it to be from a place of awareness, because it's so easy for us to get caught in this mentality like, oh God, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? But that's shaming again. And that's not a form of love. Like, that's not showing us our self-love and compassion if we're holding shame. So always reflect from a place of pure awareness, because it's awareness obviously is the key for us to creating any change. It's becoming aware of it, and if we're not aware of it, we can't change it. So when we're doing any of these reflection exercises, or when we're diving deep into anything, please just observe. Don't be attaching it. I'm not saying like don't, but like try not to attach any meaning to it, and just be the observer of the words on your page. They're just words on the page. They don't mean anything about you. So I would like you to just write and just journal. Sorry, it's going to probably come up with an advert.
Is HelloFresh worth the price? Absolutely. Yeah. I just love the idea.
No, I will not be paying YouTube Premium to get rid of the adverts. Just start this list, I should. And I just want you to, I should ... and anything that comes to your mind, what you feel like you should be doing. So for example, I should be further ahead than I am. I should, And I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And I don't know if you either just want to just give me a thumbs up or pop it in the chat when you've done, and then I'll take you on to the next step. And then after we've worked through it, we'll then open it up for discussion afterwards. sort of done, I could write it forever. Leave space if you want, and this is a powerful exercise that you can go back to anytime. So I want you to look at this list of I should, and I just want you to ask yourself, why do you think you should do this? So I'll give an example of, I should have a 9-to-5 job because my dad's told me that's the right route to go down. That would be, why do I think this? And so anything you've put that what I should, I want you to ask yourself, Matt, why do you think this? And as you're working through this, I just want you to think of the word should, because like I said, this word should is like, it's a bit like a word like, I should be doing this. It's like we're telling ourselves that we are wrong, like we're giving away our sort of like personal power to this thing that we should be doing. And I just want you to swap it with just a simple word and swap it with the word could. I could do this, because could is about giving yourself the choice. So for example, I could have a 9-to-5 job. And see how different that sentence now sounds if you're saying I could do this instead of I should. And then once you've got the I could, ask yourself, well, why haven't you? And just see why you haven't. You see Jen smiling. I don't know if this is because like she's penny dropping off.
No, yeah, it is. It's very interesting, isn't it, to reframe it.
Just let me know when you've finished. Give me a thumbs up or. And then I just want you to look at the list of like when you've reframed it, and what do you feel now the things that you're shoulding yourself about can actually be dropped? Like now you've given yourself a choice and you could, and you've understand why you haven't. What could actually be dropped off that list? What can you let go of? And is there anything that's on there that just doesn't serve you, doesn't align with where it is you're going? Now you've given yourself the choice. Definition. Switch the music off. So the power of this exercise, and the reason, like I said, a lot of the words, the language that we use is like a form of like self-love. So it's like when we're like shutting ourselves, we're holding on to a lot of stuff. And the reason I got you to do the reframe and could is remembering that everything is a choice. So everything we choose to do or not do is a choice. So being able to reframe it and think like, I could do that and it's an option, and it's like, well, why haven't I? Because you'll either decide, why haven't you? Because it doesn't align with you. It's not something that you actually want to do. And we can set that boundary and drop it. And this is a huge form of self-love. Like, we think self-love is just doing self-care, but sometimes like self-love is actually us looking at things and looking where we need to say no, which is sometimes some of the hardest things to do, where we need to actually release the expectation from ourselves. And then looking at things that actually maybe I could do it, but is there something area that I get to work on to show myself some more love? So is it out of fear? For example, I don't know, in business, I could be signing more clients. Why haven't I? Because I'm scared to put myself out there. Is being able to reframe it and see what is the actual deeper meaning, looking at the deeper message. So I'd be just really interested just to see, like, was anything that came up for any of you that surprised you in what you realized, or where like a lot of the should come from? Is it from yourself, or is it from expectations that other people have placed on you? That's quite a long question, so I'll give you a minute to
Something that I really noticed when I changed should to could and went back over the list, there was a lot more compassion there. So I had I should be exercising more. Why? Because I know it's good for me and I want more energy and things like that. But when I changed it to I could be exercising more, why aren't I? Well, actually, over the last month, I've had a sickness bug, I've had a cold, I've been really busy, and it just felt a lot more compassionate, I think, doing it that way to myself. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the biggest things around like showing ourselves love is that compassion. And it's actually sometimes it is a reason, and we think it's, oh, I'm just because it might go down the route just because I'm lazy, but actually like there's a deeper meaning. And it's just being able to highlight that. So that simple language switch, you've just said you've shown yourself compassion rather than shaming yourself for not exercising.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I think I'm just going to echo what you said, Amy, but I've written down the word relief. When I changed it to could, I felt this massive sense of relief because suddenly the pressure was off. I don't know, it's so interesting, isn't it? And I talk about reframing language all the time in what I do. Sometimes you miss the obvious yourself. So yeah, suddenly I've written permission to choose, and then awareness that it's okay to choose not to. So that's, I guess, my main observation. I've forgotten what your question was, to be honest, Lorna.
It's like just what came up for you. What did you notice?
Yeah. Anyone else got anything they want to share?
I was going to share, I felt like when I went through the list of shoulds, it was very much to serve other people, and it was sort of like I should do this because it would make someone else happy, or I'll do it to serve someone else. And there was a couple of things on there for me, but then when I changed it to could, it helped me like reprioritize and be like, actually, out of the 10 things here, I've basically decided that 3 of them are stuff that I actually want to do, which is rest and relax more, book in to see my granddad and give my dad a call. But it, like what you said, it's like it's given me more motivation to actually do those things, because I don't really care about the other things, if that makes sense. I've realized that they don't actually matter so much.
I put I should be spending more time on self-care, and then I thought, but then the reason why I'm not is because I'm prioritizing other people at the moment, partly because it's summer holidays. But yeah, it just made me think, actually, yeah, I know that I should be doing it, but I could be if I wasn't prioritizing other people's needs above my own.
Thank you for sharing. Is anybody else? Kerry, do you want to share? There's no pressure.
There's a theme emerging here, isn't there? My list was almost no, it was all do stuff for other people. Every single thing on the list. And to the extent where I interpreted the question as, what should I be doing that I'm not doing right this minute? So if I wasn't on this kind of meeting tonight, what should I be doing? And I got play with one of my children. I thought, hang on a minute, I played with him yesterday. And the last time I was on this call was a month ago. I was like, get a grip. I was like, this is once a month, a couple of hours. How ridiculous. So yeah, definitely the same as everyone else has said. And I also then realised that a lot of the items on the list, well, I ended up giving myself sort of 2 tiers of what I could absolutely scrub completely, gone, not even on my mind anymore. And then others that I thought, well, they've still got to be done, but someone else should be doing that. So I'm looking down and thinking I can delegate some of these things shamelessly. You do it.
I love it. And it's just to highlight these things. A lot of the time we don't prioritize the relationship with ourselves. We give it to other people because, like, we are here, I do believe we're here to give and to receive, but a lot of the time we just don't give ourselves that same focal. I mean, I am not a mum, so I can't resonate that I have children, but I know from my experience with my mum, she puts the kids before anyone, and I'm literally like, put yourself first. And there can be sometimes, I find it with business, I was prioritising my business before even looking after myself, but it's about coming back to you being the foundation to everything. If there's no you, there's no business, there's no mum, there's no friend, there's no partner, there's no daughter, whatever role we play, there's none of that without the foundation of you. And it's about making sure that foundation. So this is a really powerful exercise, even just to do, I don't know, once a week or once a month, if just to let go and then realise that what is not important. It's just a form of reflection, like and it's about releasing these expectations and where can you set boundaries, where can you delegate to free up your time to do things you actually want to be doing. And the reason I got you to do it was to look at things as well, of asking, like, does it align with my values? Does it align with the life that I'm creating? And we're all creating something, we are creators. So do these things when we're putting everyone else, does that actually align with the truest version of you? Do you want to be someone that always puts everybody else before them and you're last of the pile? Or do you want to create the story that you put your relationship first? And it's just to get you thinking. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, because that's not how I coach. I coach for you to find out what works for you. What is your story? Because all our stories is so different and we all have different priorities. And it's just about you being able to see that for yourself and be mindful of where possibly could you set boundaries with yourself and with other people. Let go of it, because a lot of the time it's like we don't actually need to be doing a lot of it. The other question I want to just like dive into, and one of the things that I want to go through, which I think will be really powerful for us to do, especially with all of you having so many different priorities, and obviously right now it's the school holidays and I can't imagine what it's like to have to entertain children as well as work and everything else, is we're going to create like a self-care like ritual list, and we're going to do that a bit further along. But one thing I want to ask you, and I just want to open the floor to it, and you can either journal on it, whichever is, like, how do you actually show yourself love right now, and like what does this look like for you? Because like I said, it's everything looks so different to everybody else, and how one person shows love obviously it is different to everyone. And I just think it'd be a nice conversation to open up. And if you want me to start and share some of my ways, just to give you some things, I've popped the question in the chat of just so we can look at like other ideas and spark interest, because I think sometimes like other people might do things that they see as love and you might not recognize that, and it just opens this conversation of other ways to show yourself love than what we just think in our own way. So I don't know if anybody wants to go first, or you want me to share.
I'm happy to start, but it'll be nice to hear yours, Lorna, as well. The first thing that came to my mind is I use the Calm app, which is something that I now pay for, and Jay Shetty, who is one of my biggest idols, does a daily J. So it's a 7-minute like personal development and meditation every day, and there's a different one every day, and I try to do it every day. It doesn't happen every day, but that is a little bit of love that I show myself some days.
I like that. How else do you feel like for you, what does showing yourself love look like outside of like just the meditation and the karma?
It's really hard. Can you tell us some of yours and I'll have a think?
So for me, like one of the ways like I'm working really hard on showing myself love is I'm really working hard on reframing my beliefs at the minute of not letting things outside of me determine my worth. So like that's something I'm really working on, is when I look in the mirror is to tell myself I love myself. This is one of my favourite practices. That's why I've asked you to bring a mirror, because I want to do a meditation with you. But it also looks like, for me, showing myself love is saying no to people and actually just choosing to spend time by myself. I mean, I have that luxury because I don't have to think about a lot of, that's another way. But also, for me as well, showing myself love is having tough conversations with myself and actually being brutally honest about, from a place of awareness, about maybe where I'm not holding myself to the version of me I'm stepping into. So they're like some of the ways at the minute that I'm really working on, is, but also at the same time showing myself compassion through like giving myself space, through just taking the pressure off, just trying to release the expectation.
I think you've triggered something for me, which is something I've realised that I do from something that happened with my family earlier in the year, is I try to resolve things for people all the time. I try to always be the solution. And I think going through something with my family member, which wasn't very positive, actually has made me realise that, and that I need to stop doing that. So I'm trying, I guess part of the love is not defining myself or my self-worth by resolving someone else's problems and letting them just hold that problem. And even with like Ben, if he's, I know that I would go to solution mode, but actually just listening and being more of a listener as opposed to a let me try and help you person. Because I take on everyone else's burdens, and I like, a bit like what you said, I feel very influenced by outside forces sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same. Hello, Bethan.
Hi Bethan, it's great to see you.
I'm so sorry I'm so late. Sorry, I don't mean to.
You don't need to apologise.
Please don't apologise. So do you want to do a quick what we're doing at the moment, Lorna, so Bethan knows what we're doing?
Hi Bethan, I'm Lorna. Basically we've just gone through an exercise, and what I'll do is after the call I can send you the exercise and I'll explain it, just so you'll be on the recording, but I'll send you it separately as well. We're just answering the question, and I'll repop it in the chat because I don't think it'll show up because you've just joined. Is obviously today we're talking a lot around self-love and self-care, and we've just done an exercise about how to like remove expectations of what we should be doing and what we could be doing, and now we're just answering the question is like, how do you show yourself love? Like, what things do you do and how does this look like? So I'll let you have a little think about it. I won't put you on the spot right now, and I'll let somebody else go, and then if you would like to share, then it's an open floor. Would anybody else like to share?
Amy's there.
So my husband bought me a hammock for my birthday this month, well, last month actually, and I am allowing myself to lie in it with a book and not my phone, and reading it. I mean, I used to do so much reading like pre-kids, and it's something that I've let go of, and I'm just started to pick it back up again and love just losing myself in the book. So just having that space and time to rest in a hammock, which I just would normally feel guilty about, and I'm trying not to jump out of it after like 3 minutes thinking I must go off and finish that or do this. So that's been quite nice with the weather being so warm as well.
What a great present, a hammock. I'd actually like love a hammock in my garden when I eventually have a house. I think that's a great present. A hammock.
I'm going to jump on your one, Amy. Similar. One thing I'm trying to do every morning, well, I like exercising anyway, but because it's summer holidays, I'm allowing my kids to like be on screens with like zero guilt in the morning, so I can do my admin, which I know is not really self-love, but it does like relieve the anxiety around trying to balance work and stuff. But then I'm also prioritizing exercise every morning. So I'm just doing HIIT in the garden because I can't go for a run very easily. And I feel like it's great. It's like it literally lifts the weight from me by doing it. And also I bought my husband a hammock for Christmas / myself a hammock for Christmas. And it's in the garden. And we also bought a hot tub last week. It was my dad's funeral last Monday, and on Tuesday I was like, we need to do something really fun, kids. We need to do something really fun. So we went to B&Q and bought a hot tub and set it up. And that's, again, it's made me stop too. So either sitting in a hammock and reading or sitting in a hot tub with a book. And it's not even for very long, it might only be for like 15 minutes, but it just gives you that little window. And one of the things I wrote down for myself when we were doing the goal setting with Jen last month was sit in the garden, because suddenly it'll be autumn and I won't have sat in the fucking garden. And I really annoy myself. Sometimes I really struggle to live in the moment, because I've always got this massive, like, I'm a person that's like a bit frenzied and likes to do stuff. So yeah, I've really made the effort to sit in the garden, and that's been really nice. So yeah, I concur, Amy, I concur.
It's really funny.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on, sorry, Amy.
I was going to say, where you said you bought it for your husband / yourself, the weird thing was the exact same hammock was in my Amazon basket to buy Steve.
How funny.
I was clearly buying it for you because I really wanted it. But yeah, it was a good present. Sorry, Lorna. Go on.
No, I was just saying, I've really had this observation because I've been around my little cousin who's like 11, and he just spends all day on screen, and I just like, I know I spend a lot of time on my laptop, on my phone. I'm just like, as I'm getting old, well, I'm just like, I want to be outdoors, I want to be in nature, that's my off time. And I just think it's funny how just, if we go back, we want like the simple life. It's the simple things that are actually enjoyable, like just being outdoors, reading a book. Would anybody else like to share? Or?
I'm like Jen, I have the Calm app as well, and I do a meditation before I go to sleep to relax me before I go to sleep. I like to read as well, so I think I've got 2 books on the go at the moment, but again, I do that before I go to bed, so I usually get quite tired. And I used to do a lot of art, and I haven't done anything recently until we did the retreat recently, where we did the self-portraits. And the other morning my kids were sitting down drawing, and I thought I could go and sit in the other room and watch TV and eat my breakfast in the quiet, but actually I went and sat down with them and did some drawing with them. It was just really nice. So it's nice doing those little things, and it was spending time with them, but it was also calm time, but it was also doing something that I really enjoyed. So
Love that. Anybody else? I was just like,
I listen to a podcast when I get going. I like it because, and the reason it feels like it's indulgent is because if I'm going to listen to something and really attend to it, I have to put headphones in, and if I put headphones in, I can't hear the children, and that is like, I'm in the building but I've completely zoned out from hearing you shout, "Mummy, I need toilet roll," or whatever it is they're shouting. So that's a good one. And a really weird one, well, it might be weird, I don't know, you might all confess that you do the same. I really like folding my underwear beautifully in the drawer. Does anyone else do that?
yeah,
Because most of the time I'm like, open the
Venus
drawer,
face.
throw it all in, just sort of pluck something out that looks vaguely familiar the next day, and just, so if I can like fold it all neat like Marie Kondo style, and just, it just looks so beautiful. And every day I go to it and I go, I'm unfolding my knickers like they're a new pair. It's ridiculous, but it's like if I do my underwear drawer beautifully, then I benefit from it for about 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, this looks great, and then it'll go out the window at some point.
I fold mine as well, so don't worry. Bethan, would you like to share? Or
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like my stuff is much the same as other people's. I do a lot of like kayaking and paddleboarding and stuff, so I make time for that. I had the Headspace app, and I've been doing meditation using that as like a guided meditation thing for about 10 years. So, and I found it just, when I let it slip, I really notice a difference. And also I decided to let myself enjoy my hobbies a little bit more. So I love houseplants, and which sounds super lame, but I collect houseplants and like rare houseplants. And I'm always like trying to save my money and thinking, oh, I need to spend it on stuff for my daughter or stuff for my partner or stuff for the house or whatever. And then earlier this month, I was like, you know what? I want this particular cabinet for my plants, so I'm going to get it. And I just sort of let myself do it without feeling guilty that I could be spending the money better elsewhere. because I deserve nice things with the money that I earn sometimes too, as long as it's not at the detriment of anybody else. So now I have this nice little plant corner in the corner of my living room that I sit and look at with a cup of coffee sometimes. And to some people it sounds a bit lame, but to me it's like ultimate self-care. I just sit and look at the plants and decide which one needs like repotting and all that sort of stuff. But it's cool for me.
I like that. I can't keep plants alive, so I won't be very good with that.
At last count, I've got 72 houseplants. So
72?
It's
like a garden.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is impressive. To keep them all alive as well, that is some going.
It's just over here. Look, I'm going to show you.
I was
because
going to
I'm
say,
really proud of
Let's have a look. I want to see the plants.
You'll have to excuse my living room's a bit of a mess and my legs bandaged on the thing, but
oh, hold on, I need to see speaker view. 1 sec.
Oh wait,
oh wow.
Yeah, how do I get some?
Let me get up. I'll show you. So it's my little houseplant collection.
Yeah, that's very.
Oh, I've just lost my screen. Where have you gone?
It's so cool.
Oh, there you are.
I love it. We've got special lighting as well.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, so that's my slightly lame hobby.
I love house plants too, Bethan. It's not lame at all.
Not lame.
Good. I'm glad it's not just me, because I'm slowly turning into my mother.
Well, thank you all for sharing some ways that you show yourself love, and I just thought, although some of them overlap, it's just nice to see what others do and what brings us like a little bit of joy, because that's what it's about when we're showing ourselves love. It's about us doing things for us. I think one activity I'd like to do, and then we'll do the meditation, is how many of you have a morning routine or some form of routine in the morning? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious.
I'm a big fan of the concept. The reality is that it doesn't really happen.
Because it's something that morning routine was something that changed my life, but also I've kind of dropped the must have about 20 items to tick off, and if you've not done that, you've failed your morning routine, because I'd like to reframe it as like this daily self-devotion. It's just this little, whatever time you have on a morning before, even if it's just 5-10 minutes before the little ones get up, like what can you do for yourself in that whatever time you have allocated before the day starts to fill your cup up. And this is how I see a morning routine. Like I have non-negotiables, like my morning routine is quite long because I have the luxury that it can be a bit longer, but it's like, how can you do something maybe for mind, body, soul, or just picking one of them that's important for you, like any of them. And how I like to create it, and I think it's going to be like just a nice like therapeutic thing you to do, is on your piece of paper, I just want you to write like mind, body and soul. And like soul, like I put meditation in like soul, anything that's like for your spiritual growth. And I just want you to brain dump on this sheet of paper. And it doesn't just have to be for your morning routine. It can just be a list of self-care activities that make you feel good, that fill your cup up, that give you energy, that you're doing something for you. I want you to brain dump on there as many things as you can think of that you like to do for you. So like for movement, for example, it could be yoga. You can even break it down: yoga, running, HIIT, dancing, whatever it is you like to do. I like to have a little dance to a song. That's one of my favourite things to do. But just make a list of all the possible self-care activities that you can do for yourself, whether that be in a morning, whether that be throughout the day. It doesn't have to be just for a morning, throughout the day. Anything that you can think of, whether it's like, I don't know, even just standing outside for fresh air for 5 minutes, sitting having a cup of coffee in silence, just being with your thoughts, practicing gratitude. I'm just firing things at you here just to give you some inspiration. And I want you just to create this bank, and just you can leave space to keep adding to it as well. And this is how, while you're doing it, and I'll let you think and I'll just explain, this was something that kind of sort of like changed my perception on things, that really helped me remove this guilt of thinking like, I want to have a morning routine, but I don't have, I don't know, an hour to do whatever it says in Miracle Morning, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading and scribing in the morning. I just want you to see it as like this bank of any of them things, and you can even split, like I get some of my clients to split it down into time. Is it a 5-minute activity? Is it like a 10-minute activity? Is it 15 minutes? Is it an hour? Whatever, how long it takes, and just have a little look, think how long will that take me to do? I want you to create yourself this bank, because I know you're all busy at the moment, and especially like you've got the kids as well, and that's like another thing to think about as well as working. I want you to see this like list as like a pick a mix. And then in the morning, you put it somewhere that you're going to see it and ask yourself, oh, what do I feel like doing for myself this morning? And I want you to create this list and have it somewhere, like I said, you're going to see it every day. And rather than having this pressure, and I do believe in consistency, and I do believe obviously that I do believe in having non-negotiables, but I also believe that it's as important as long as you do something for yourself to fill your cup up, that is consistent. Like the habit doesn't need to be consistent. The consistency comes in you choosing to do something for yourself every single day. And I want you to create this list for yourself, like I said, and every morning I just want you to make a commitment of, even if it's 10 minutes and you pick activities that take 10 minutes, it's asking yourself when you get up, what can I do today for me to fill my cup up first? And I want you to pick whatever activity on there that you feel like. Because I think a big thing as well, especially with us as women, and it's something I'm learning more about, is we go through cycles, like due for our menstrual cycle, and what feels good one week isn't going to feel good the next week. So I just want you to have this choice and realize, make it I could list. I could be doing this for myself, and I could list. And rather than us thinking, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, it's like you've got this bank of resource here, you've looked, and you can keep adding to it. It's like, well, today I feel like I might put on a podcast. Today I might just dance for 5 minutes to my favourite song to move my body. And like, that's enough for movement. And I want you just to create your own little pick a mix of self-care activities that you are going to decide what is for you. And for me, this was something that really like changed the game of having this, because it kind of removed that pressure of, oh, I need to do this. It's like, actually, I can choose to do something. And the goal of self-love, the goal of doing these actions for ourselves, is to fill our cup up first. And that's, to me, what it is. So yeah, I'd like you to create a list. I mean, I've just talked at you, so I don't know if you've done it while I've been doing it, while I've been saying it. And again, like, if you want to open it up to share, just to give some ideas to bounce off. Like I said, I gave a few like things that you like, even if it's like, want to lay in the hammock 10 minutes on a morning, go outside, lay in the hammock, listen to the birds, anything that feels like good for you. And it's just making that, and I want you just to make a commitment to yourself. And like I said, it's whatever time works for you. If you've got an hour, you've got an hour. If you've only got 10 minutes, you've got 10 minutes. But just make a commitment to choose to do at least one of those activities every single day for you.
I really like it. I've written a few things down, and it's actually really nice because it's made me realize that I do actually sometimes do one of those things, and like, yeah, and to be kind of proud of yourself for doing something, like you say, like even if it's for 2 minutes. Just to share a couple of the more random ones that I've put down, because dancing to a random song is one of my top ones for sure. I've also put make and have a smoothie, because I always find like that makes my body feel really good. I sometimes go dipping in Mersey on a Monday morning, so that's again one of my random ones, going cold water dipping. The other one that I do sometimes before bed, but also sometimes in the morning, is I visualize my day. So say I've got clients and stuff, I like visualize the client sessions and how they're going to go, or if I've got other stuff going on, like visualize good outcomes to whatever it is I'm doing that day. And I always think I used to do that a lot when I worked in corporate. I don't do it as much now, but when I do it, I think it does have a good impact. And I've also put cuddles down for soul, because I think having cuddles with people you love always helps.
Love them. I'm also a big fan of a cold water dip as well.
Love it.
Has anybody else got any they want to share that we think other people might like?
I wish I had a hammock and a hot tub though, because that would be on my list. I'm coming round, guys.
I used in the past the 5-4-3-2-1 journal from Mel Robbins, and whenever I do it, it helps. It's just a page, I can fill it in seconds, and it's just a kind of, there's like a fuel gauge on it saying, you know, how's your energy today? How do you feel? And how can you shift it? You know, what's one thing you can do during the day to shift it? So I feel like when I do that journal, it helps with this kind of commitment to do something for me that will get my energy up or make me feel better. The difficulty is making the commitment to do the journal. It takes 30 seconds. I should just do it.
Focus with the things with, like, especially in the morning, like, I know Mel Robbins, it's like she says 5-4-3-2-1, get up and do it, doesn't she? It's like focus on, rather than the feeling in the moment, try and shift, like visualize, take yourself to the feeling afterwards and embody that feeling of knowing how it's going to feel. And I'm listening, I've become really obsessed with Bob Proctor this last week, and he talks about paradigm shifting. This is just completely off topic, but he talks about the reason a lot of the time we get the same results is because we stay in the same paradigm. So it's about shifting the paradigm and acting as if we're already there and shifting that feeling to get the results before we see it. So it's just, how can you, even in the moment, a lot of the time can't be asked. It's like, how can you shift to just like shift into that feeling of how you'll feel after? Because we all know, like the same with working out, we always feel better once we've worked out. It's like, how could you maybe shift your perspective of, how will I feel after I've done this for myself? Like when you get that moment that comes in, it's like, how will I feel after I've done it? And then you're like, oh, I feel really good. And then that might give you the perspective shift to.
Yeah, good plan.
To do it. Would anybody else like to share anything?
I just one that I put down that was sort of a throwback, really. Because I used to do the like my own version of the morning savers routine religiously every morning, and then I had a child that never slept, and it all went a bit out the window. But one of the things on it is I switched up, or I added from journaling, is I had an ongoing craft project. And like, rather than sometimes if I wasn't really feeling sitting and actually journaling or sitting and actually like doing affirmations or visualizations, I would just sort of do a bit of my craft project whilst just sort of thinking about the day, and make something with my hands. Whether it was, sometimes it would literally just be like, get out Play-Doh and make a stupid model, and that little model would sit on my desk for the day while I was working, because I was just found it made me feel better to do something that didn't really have a point but I enjoyed doing. So it'd be that, or like one of the macrame or macrame, I have no idea how to say it, whatever, like the rope plant hangers.
Yeah, I bet you've got a lot of them in your house, haven't you?
So many. So many. If anyone wants a plant hanger, by the way, just hit me a message. I've got like a box of unused macrame plant hangers because I like making them. So if anyone wants them, send me a message and I'll send you one.
Oh, look at that. I like that though, like doing something that's just not without the, and I think sometimes it's like without the pressure of feeling like it has to be for a bigger picture. Like the bigger picture is to make you feel good, so it's about whatever feels good to you. It doesn't need to be for like a great purpose for something else that we're working towards. The purpose of it is to make you feel good. But I really like them. Thank you so much for sharing. Would anybody else like to share anything?
I think mine are quite predictable, so I don't really know if anyone will like gain any wisdom. But listening to podcasts is definitely one. If you have a good podcast on when I'm doing anything, it just makes everything better. Like cleaning the kitchen, doing anything. If I've got a podcast on, I'm now slightly obsessed with the idea that where the venue I teach in might be haunted. So everyone leaves at night and I'm left in this venue. I'm like, fuck. And so I've had to put a podcast on really loudly just to fill it with like sound. And I'm like, I'm fine. There's no ghosts here. Weird things have happened. I'm like, anyway. So listen to podcasts, journaling, exercising, which we all know I love, like going for a run or a cycle or doing some HIIT. I always have hot lemon and water every morning. Although apparently that like ruins your teeth, but I didn't know that. I've been doing it for years. I clean them obviously afterwards. Good food. I've written down rest and sleep, and I've underlined it because that's something I've not prioritised very much. And I occasionally feel like I just need to sit down and chill. And my kids are all over that. They're like, yeah, we'll sit with you, we'll watch a movie. I've written down the car map. I used to have it on my phone, and I switched it up for the Deliciously Ella app, and I've just not got on with it. Like, I've never really liked it anywhere near as much, but I paid for it for a year. But I think I'm just going to sack it off and reinvest in the car map. So if anyone's got like a discount voucher or anything from being a current member, just let me know. Gratitude, reading, and I've stolen Bethan's one. I've written down craft. I bloody love crafting. So I'm like, ooh. Sitting in the garden, enjoying nature, and singing and dancing with big stars around it. I've written.
Love it. And it's just about you having these lists of things that just make you feel good, and these are all actions towards. It's about the feeling, and I think that's what we focus on a lot of the time. Obviously, we are emotional beings. The feelings, we might wake up feeling not great, not feeling motivated. So it's just like, what can you do that's going to shift you out of that funk? I woke up the other day, was in such a funk, listened to some Bob Proctor, and then I was like, I'm bouncing off the walls now. And it was just something to shift, rather than letting us sit in that feeling of like, oh, it's like, just take some action that's going to help raise your vibration, basically. We're talking about vibes.
But I get action is everything, though, isn't it? Because I've had a lot going on in my life, and someone said to me, but what are you doing to make yourself feel better? And I was like, ooh, I love that question, because like suddenly felt much more powerful, that you could be proactive and you could change how you feel about everything. And I know that, but sometimes you forget it. You need someone to tell you that you're the one who has to do the thing, rather than waiting for someone else to make you feel better. And that was really powerful. So yeah, taking action.
Yeah. Inaction causes more inaction sometimes. It's the action, even though we don't want to take the action sometimes. We're human, we're allowed.
Yeah.
Lorna, I have written a little post-it with all of my things and other people's ideas, and it's going on my whiteboard here. So I'm going to absolutely commit to...
I feel like you are a very organised person, actually, Jen. This is the vibe I get off you, that everything is...
Everything's listed.
Yeah.
Hold myself accountable to it. I mean, very inspired. I love it.
Love it.
I'm going to say thank you. This has been really, really good, and I'm going to keep shoulding and coulding myself.
I love that. I'm so glad you found it helpful.
Yeah, I'm going to run, but that's definitely nothing personal. This has been great, and I shall see the villagers next time.
Yes, see you soon.
See you later, Kerry.
Bye.
So I thought we might as well do this meditation that I wrote the other day. I really want to try it out on some people. We're going to look in a mirror. So if you haven't got a mirror, maybe grab one quickly if you can, or maybe looking. And if you're more than happy, if you don't want me, maybe I'll just turn it to speak of you so it doesn't look like I'm staring at you all looking at the mirror. Or if you want to turn your cameras off, I'm more than happy for that as well. So I'm just going to put some just nice music on again, just to background. I wrote the script. I've not actually recorded the actual meditation, and it's just something different I want to try. So you are my guinea pigs. Can you hear the music?
It comes in like waves, I often find with Zoom, because sometimes if you're talking, you'll stay, but sometimes I think the microphone cuts in and out of music. I don't know if that's the same for everybody, but it's always the same for me.
I don't know, so I have to think if maybe if I try Spotify, will that work better? Or do you think it's just Zoom in general?
What you could do, and if anyone's got a better idea, is what I tend to do for when I do meditations online, is I get people to play their own music, and then I just have my voice. So they would just have their own gentle music playing off the phone or whatever, and then you come through perfectly clearly. But doesn't mean I'm right. Someone else might have a better suggestion.
I don't know. Me and Zoom are not always like the greatest friends, so I'm open to suggestions. It's up to you. If you can hear the music, I'll keep it on. If you want to put your own music on your phone, I was just putting 5 to 8 hertz frequency, because it's the love frequency.
I can hear it now, but I think it's because you're talking.
Can you hear it now?
No.
Or not?
It does seem to be cutting in and out as you're talking, but if you're talking throughout the meditation, then it will keep playing.
Yeah, I'm going to talk. I'll. Can you hear it now if I stop talking?
Yeah, I can hear it when you talk and then not when you stop.
It's really strange. I wonder if I play it off my phone.
I never knew that, Linda. I've learnt something tonight. Sometimes what I've done, I think, is this is a bit complicated, but under audio settings, you can select to share your computer sound. But I'm just trying to have a look where that is, because it might be a bit confusing.
Hi, Freya.
Oh.
Say hi, Linda. Hi.
You're our youngest village member. I think you've attended the most meetings.
She actually has.
Oh yeah, Mummy hurt her leg, didn't she?
No.
She keeps telling everyone I cut my leg, and she's told literally everyone she's seen so far today that I've cut my leg.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah.
Poor mummy. Have you kissed it better, Freya?
Yeah. I think she's got sympathy leg pains because I was there, I knocked a vase over and it sliced the back of my leg, and I was there with like broken glass everywhere, blood all over the floor, halfway through cooking dinner, and she's just grabbed her leg that had no injury, going, ow, ow, Freya leg, ow, mummy leg, ow. I was like, I do not have time for this kid. A sympathy leg injury.
Oh.
That's why I was late. Sorry, I was trying to
Bandage your leg up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Can you hear this? I don't know if this is going to work.
It's still coming and going. I think it just does. It's something to do with the microphones. I don't really understand. I'm not very technical, but they are supposed to cut out various frequencies in order to make people's vocals come through. So it intentionally cuts through some noise on purpose.
Okay.
But I don't know why. I don't know how to change it.
It's also, I'm not sure if you can necessarily change it, because part of the reason is to stop feedback, because if you've got everyone's sound playing at the same time, and then say when I'm talking you could hear your background noise, it can feedback loops.
Technology. I don't know if you've got phones and you want to put frequency on yourself. If not, we can do it.
Is it literally called frequency?
I just type in YouTube 5 to 8 hertz frequency music, and I just pick the first one. It's not as specific.
So any relaxation music is fine, yeah?
Yeah, any relaxation. Just as long as you can hear my voice when I speak.
I'm going on mute so you don't all hear my music.
Let me all know when you're ready. We all ready? Before we start, I just want you to just ground yourself nice and comfortable, give yourself a shake, stretch out. My neck always cracks. I always like to just, this meditation is going to be slightly different because we're going to do it with our eyes open, that's why we need the mirror. But for the first part, until I say to look in the mirror, if you want to close your eyes while I just go through the first bit, you can. So, and like I said, if you want to switch your camera off and you don't want me watching, maybe I'll put myself on speaker for you, then I can't.
Here is an answer I translate. Glitterphrase.net.
That's Alexa me.
It's easy to answer why you should let it go. Of course.
1 second, sorry.
They don't have any.
Sorry, Alexa was answering instead. So I just want you to slowly sit where you are and just ground down into the space and just take a few cleansing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And this is going to be a guided meditation for practicing self-compassion. And like I said at the beginning, this meditation isn't like your usual one because we're not going to close our eyes, but I invite you to close your eyes just while I talk you through this bit. And instead, we're going to be looking at ourselves directly in the eye. For this meditation, you're going to stand, we're not going to stand in front of a mirror, we're going to have a mirror in front of us so that you can truly see yourself. See you in all who you are. See into the eyes of your own soul, because they do say that the eyes are the window to the soul. If this is the first time you've ever done an exercise like this, of looking at yourself directly in the eyes, I just want you to just think, or if it's not, I just want you to think, when was the last time you fully looked at yourself and held a gaze? And no answer is right or wrong. It doesn't matter when it was, and it doesn't matter if you've never done it before, because this isn't about judging ourselves. This isn't about holding any shame. This is just about us bringing awareness. And it's often that when we do exercises like this, we've never might have looked at ourselves directly in the eye for such a long time. So you might feel feelings of discomfort when practicing. The discomfort comes from when we truly see ourselves and looking directly into our own face. And if this feeling does arise, I just want you to know that it's okay. You are safe. You are safe in your body. Acknowledge these feelings that come up just purely as the observer, and then just focus back on your breath and let it pass. If it gets uncomfortable and you want to move the gaze, and that's okay as well. Just come back to your breath always, just in and out, and then refocus and keep looking at yourself. Keep gazing, knowing each moment, if it feels too much, we can pause and reset to regaze. Just like everything, self-compassion is a muscle that we get to cultivate within ourselves, and it's often not the first response. So I'm celebrating all of you for choosing to give yourself this time right now to show yourself the love and compassion you fully deserve. Self-compassion is about us being warm, understanding towards yourself. When you find yourself feeling like you're suffering, or we feel like we've failed in our own eyes, it isn't failure, it's just first attempt in learning. And rather than ignoring the pain and feeling into self-criticism, self-compassion is what brings us back. Self-compassion helps us see a situation through the eyes of love and reduce the suffering that you may be feeling. So now we fully understand the purpose of the power of leaning into self-compassion. I invite you to hold up the mirror, open your eyes and begin to gaze at yourself directly in the eye. And you don't need to rush it. And I just want you to observe what comes up. If there's any thoughts of judgment around ourselves, anything that's coming up around the feeling, this impulse to maybe criticize ourselves. And if there is, just want you to acknowledge it, resist it, and let it pass. Let it go. I then want you to take a moment to look into your reflection of your eyes. Directly, what do you see? How is your reflection looking back at you? Does your reflection feel angry? Is there sadness? Is there contentment? And just notice and allow whatever feeling you see in the mirror flow through you openly. You are just a passage of this. Don't be afraid to let your reflection cry or be angry. Don't be afraid to feel anything. These emotions are part of your heart. They are all normal and expected. And I just want you to remember that you are safe. Now I want you with your eyes to trace your reflection in the mirror. I want you to notice your nose, your lips, your teeth and your skin. I want you to acknowledge every tiny detail that makes you you. And then I want you to repeat to yourself the mantra. I am beautiful. We're going to repeat it again another 3 times. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. And I just want you to acknowledge, how does it feel as you feel into these words as you say it? Did any emotions come up for you? And if there's any emotions that do come up, I just want you to look at yourself and just hold one hand on your heart and just show yourself love. And slowly watch as any of these negative feelings disappear and your reflection begins to smile, and so do you. Now I want you to gently wrap your hands, you can pop the mirror down, gently wrap your hands around yourself and give yourself the biggest hug and tell yourself that I love you. And just hold yourself and just repeat the words, I love you. And then when you feel ready, you can bring yourself back. I'd be interested to hear how you found it. If anything came up for you, like how you found it, it's an unusual meditation.
That was really nice. I really liked it.
Oh, thank you.
I noticed myself noticing like a spot I've got on my face and stuff like that at first, and then I was like, and like the fact that my chin looked like big, and I was like, I just need to not care. And it was nice to kind of go through that process.
I liked it.
I think it feels really nice in some ways to be given an opportunity to examine yourself, and you then, because we tend to like look in the mirror, or maybe some of you do more than me, but you look in the mirror for a function almost, like to put your makeup on quickly, to check your skirt's not touching your knickers or whatever else. And then if we ever catch our reflection later on, it might be by chance rather than by intention. And so it's rare to be given an opportunity to study yourself, and actually it's quite interesting. And a weird thing I've been doing, which I've never said to anyone else lately, is studying my face and seeing if I look like my dad, which I've never done my entire life. But I feel like this real need to feel connected to him still. And he had dimples, and I'm the only one of my sisters who inherited dimples. And suddenly I'm so grateful for them, if that makes sense. And so I've written down dimples. I have to write everything down. And another thing, I think I felt uncomfortable saying to myself, I am beautiful. It doesn't feel like at all. We're British, aren't we? We're deflectors rather than anything else. So it's a weird thing to say that, but actually we should, because yeah, I hate when I see my friends who criticize themselves all the time and beat themselves up about the way they look when they're beautiful. And you can't stop someone doing that because it's their own self-worth, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But we have to sort of lead by example. And if we have a strong sense of self-worth and exhibit that, hopefully that is contagious rather than also putting ourselves down. So yeah, I really liked it in a really long-winded way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I like that. And I think, yeah, that we don't tell ourselves. So the one thing that I've been like trying to practice the first thing on a morning is when I look in the mirror. I said it's just to look in the mirror and just like say something positive to myself, or tell myself I love myself, like looking directly in my eye, like even when I'm brushing my teeth, just doing it, like really being conscious of like focusing, because it's about just really looking at yourself. So maybe it's a practice. I don't know if any of you want to take on and try. If it's something one of my clients is working on, because she doesn't speak very kindly to herself, it's like sitting and like just for 5 minutes like looking at herself and just saying positive things, like looking right directly at, because that's what it is. I guess it's about this like self-love. It's just this relationship we have with ourselves. How do we cultivate that so it's loving? I don't know if anybody else.
Just one this is something that crossed my mind, is that while I was doing it, is obviously I'm doing it with my small Tasmanian devil around, and I realised that I don't have any memories of my mum saying nice things to herself, and like I don't really think of anyone doing it, and I just think that's a bit of a shame. I just remember my mum being so critical of me as a child, being like, "What? But you're beautiful, you're like the best person ever," and being really like baffled. about the way she picked herself apart. So I don't know, it's a nice thing, and it's a thought that sort of inspired me to carry on, and I'll probably try and verbalize it out loud, because I'd like my daughter to grow up thinking it's okay to look at yourself and like the way you look, rather than this societal thing where we all have to like not accept compliments and put ourselves down all the time. And somehow it's like the classic Mean Girls quote, isn't it? I agree, I think you're really pretty. Like if you accept a compliment, somehow you're being so like,
yeah,
you know. So yeah, it was just a errant thought that crossed through my mind while we were doing it.
I completely agree with you, Bethan.
Yeah, me too.
Say that. I think it's so important to set. My mum was always critical, still is. She called herself fat my entire life, and then I turned around once, I was like, "Oh, you're not fat." She's like a size 12. You know, you're like, why would you? Her whole life she was told me she was fat, and I just assumed she was. I tell everyone I had a fat mum. I was like, oh, no. And so I'm so conscious of that with my children. I never put myself down in front of them. I talk about how I love my like big bum, and I talk about like their bums and how they're amazing, and like that afterwards like, oh mum, you love my bum so much. I'm like, yeah, it's so good. So yeah, I think that's such an important thing, because you want them to be confident in themselves rather than think there's something wrong with them. And we lead by example and all this thing. So yeah, agree.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's very beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I do think that it is nice, because I think it's that common thing, like we're not, as a society. I remember like saying to someone like worked on like my self-worth and self-love, like saying like, no, I know what I bring to the table, I know what I have to offer, and someone was like, oh, don't be so big-headed. And it's like, well, it's not about being big-headed, it's just about like knowing like what makes you like, and owning that, and no one else is going to own it. And it's that kind of, if we constantly give away our power, or we need that validation from other people, it's like, no, it's about validating ourselves but still being able to accept compliments from other people. And because that's something, just the compliments thing, I'm just showing off, like it's something I really have to work hard on, and it's still something I still work on. Like I think I've gone too far, I don't want to be validated by others, but also just this perspective switch on compliments. When we go and deflect it, it's actually like someone's taken their time to say something nice. So to just say thank you, even if it feels uncomfortable, is just to say thank you. Because actually, when we go, I always think like when I go to say something to someone nice to someone, because I genuinely mean it, like if someone turned around and just tried to disregard that I'd said something nice, it kind of like, oh, well, that doesn't feel very good if someone doesn't even appreciate it. They're just like, so then it made me reframe when people complimented me, was that actually just to say thank you and just express gratitude, because someone's taking their time out the day to say something. So it's just express gratitude and just say thanks. Even if you don't feel like you believe it, just say thank you, rather than being like, oh, my favorite one, someone says you're beautiful, well, you should go to Specsavers. Something like a British way of deflecting, like, do you need like glasses? But just to say thank you. And that little switch has like really helped me, because actually like us not being able to say thank you for compliments is linked to our own self-worth. So it's just about just getting into the practice of just saying thank you. Even if you don't fully believe it, just say thank you. So that's just a little mindset switch that helped me. I don't know if anybody else has anything they'd like to add. No? There's no pressure to. I just wanted to round today's session off, and I know we've said that you've got until 9:30, so I'm not going over, but I just kind of want you all to go around and just make one commitment of something and verbalize it, write it down and verbalize it, because then we can keep each other accountable. It's just one commitment that you're going to make to show yourself some more love stepping forward, and to prioritize that. And you can literally write, my commitment to myself is ... and just solidify it, because I think sometimes it's like we have the intention is obviously what carries us forward, is having that intention, but it's just like, what actions are you going to do? What are you committing to? What commitment are you making to yourself as an act of self-love? Anybody want to share if they've got one?
Yeah, I've said that my commitment to myself is to do something to kind of help me wind down before bed. So that definitely over the last week, my mind's just been going 100 miles an hour, really struggling to get off. So I think using my list, there's quite a lot in there. I'm not a morning person, but actually there's some stuff I think I can do to help end my day really well. So whether that is reading or listening to something, or even just spending time sort of taking makeup off and enjoying that sort of process, just something that's going to switch me from my brain going too quickly to starting to wind down a bit.
The list is like, honestly, it's changed my life having a list, because I was just like, oh, I could just pick what I like, and I've got all these things I like, and I don't. It's about having choice, an abundance of choice.
I've just stolen your one, Lorna, and just written, I'm committed to telling myself I love you, which feels I always feel slightly uncomfortable even saying it, but it shows I need to do it, because we all know, well, I hope we all know, that we are very lovable, but it just feels very uncomfortable, isn't it? Almost like recognizing that we look for other people to validate that rather than ourselves. And often they don't, because they don't necessarily need to say it. And so I'll tell myself.
I love that. I love that. Just going to smile. Someone else wants just to share that.
Mine's, as I said, is my list that I'm going to look at and do something from, like a little pick a mix. Love it.
I put my commitment to myself is to reframe my shoulds to coulds.
I've put that I'm going to reinstate the morning routine in a slightly abbreviated fashion, I think, with Freya, but and I'm going to stop responding to compliments with criticisms. Not to like the person, but you know, someone says, oh, that meal you cooked was really nice, and you're like, oh, it's too salty and it was a bit undercooked, but thanks. Like, you don't need to put conditions on a compliment.
Yes, I like that. I think that just like one thing that I've not really mentioned this evening, but it's about, we put a lot of conditions on stuff, and it's about how can we make it unconditional. And it's like, it takes work to get. I'm definitely not a place where like I unconditionally love myself, but it's because I like everything. It takes time, but it's like, how can we remove the conditions on things and stop putting conditions on the love we have for ourselves? I'll love myself when, I'll feel worthy when. How can we just remove that and just feel it now? So that's kind of what I'm going to leave you with, that pondering thought. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thanks, Lorna. It's been really, really good.
Any questions or anything?
No, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Lorna. And if you want to share anything that you're doing at the moment, Lorna, or give me some information, we can post it in the village so people.
The things I've got going on at the moment, I've just announced I'm doing a 3-day workshop on the 15th, 16th, and the 17th of August. This is what month we're in, bloody hell, August. Called Uncover Your Story, which is going to be like a 3-day sort of limiting beliefs workshop / uncovering the stories that we tell ourselves, how to reframe them, what's the consequences, and create a new story, if that's of interest to anybody. That's what I've got. I've just recently launched, or obviously if anybody is interested in mindset coaching or anything along those lines, just reach out to me and we can have a conversation.
Brilliant. Well, if you can send me a link to your workshop, Lorna, I'll post it on the village group as well. I'm sure people want to see that.
Is it a virtual workshop? Is it how long? Like, what are the hours involved in that?
Oh, it's a virtual workshop. I've not decided on the exact time because I was waiting to see what time was going to suit the best for people that join it, because I can be flexible with the time. So, but obviously I'll have access to the recordings. It's just going to be three 1-hour sessions plus a workbook where we're going to break it down each day. I'm obsessed with the word story at the minute, like about the stories that we tell ourselves, and that's kind of like what I've been working a lot with my clients, and it's kind of like the subconscious stories we tell ourselves about things. Like, it's got to be hard, it's going to be, and like actually breaking that down and bringing the awareness, and then looking at like the consequences of it, and then rewriting it to one that actually supports us, and going through that process so we can use it a bit like the coulds and shoulds time and time again.
I think using the word story is very powerful, because stories what bring up emotion in people.
Yeah.
Whether it's your own story or someone else's story, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's just something like I've really like realised recently, like the stories that we tell ourselves about things, like which are the belief system that we have. It literally, like, life is made up of self-stories. Like, for example, I know you said, Amy, I'm not a morning person, but that's a story that we tell ourselves that then
I heard that. I was like,
that then becomes our identity, and it's like we don't realise that some of these things are actually limiting us. So it's about, this is what the workshop's about, this kind of stuff, because I notice I say it like, oh, I'm not an organised person. So it's like I'm living out that narrative, I'm not an organised person, and it's like, well, hold on a second, like, is that actually true? Is it actually true?
Yeah, that really resonates with me, because you just called me organised earlier, Lorna, but my best friend, who I've been friends with since I was 1, is the most organised person in the world, and as a result I decided that I was not organised, because her level of organisation is like obsessive compulsive. But yeah, isn't it really interesting how other people perceive you and how you perceive yourself can be quite stark comparisons. Yeah.
And I think, again, with the story is like where they've met you on your story. So people in the village probably view me very differently to maybe friends I was at school with, because they're different chapters in your story, and we're always evolving, and we don't have to stick to the same storyline. We don't have to be the person we were age 18. I'm definitely not that person at all, and that's caused in some ways not issues, but it's caused difficulties at times, because I've changed, and not everyone likes that, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the other thing around like the stories is like I said, I'm listening to a lot of Bob Proctor, and I think this is what's like sparking like this. It's like I've just realised that we write our own story, we can decide the narrative, but it's like knowing the narrative that we're telling ourselves and not being stuck in a narrative that's not. I keep thinking it's like we're telling ourselves stories, and that's obviously like what our beliefs are, but it's like we're telling ourselves stories from childhood. It's like us trying to get back into our children's genes as an adult, and we're replaying it, and it doesn't quite fit to where we're going. So that's the kind of concept that's what sparked it for me. That was the analogy of what I was like, I realised that like these stories we tell ourselves hold us back, because the stories from the past that are just replaying, that not actually serving us. So that's really what the workshop's about in a nutshell.
It sounds really powerful and really valuable. Definitely share with us.
Yes, I will do.
Yeah, drop me and Linda a message with it, and we'll pop it on the group.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been really, really good, and I think it's lovely, like a bit of something different on a summer holiday night to focus on ourselves.
Yeah,
and I see every time you show up for yourself in any capacity, to me, is an act of self-love. So even when we're doing the things that we don't want to do but they're going to help us, it's just about I think like one thing that helped me is like stopped categorizing things as like, unless it fits into this category, it's self-love. But like you saying no to somebody and choosing yourself is an act of self-love. You showing up for yourself, it's an act of self-love. Even showing up for your business is an act of self-love, because you're doing something you love, and it's just about reframing it and stop like that expectation of how self-love should look, and it's just about you just cultivating this loving relationship with yourself. This is the other thing that I've got stories and relationships, because I'm thinking like, even like I think the relationship with my phone, I'm like, I spend too much time on it, but like we can write the story of the relationship we have. So it's just that's my other thing that I keep thinking about, and this is obviously just about the relationship with yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.